The hive cities of Necromunda. Untold billions crammed within mountains of metal. Vast insect mounds of tireless industry amid the toxic wastes of their own manufacture. Inside the hive cities, every breath of air, every drop of water is recycled 1,000,000 times over. Every watt of power and each mouthful of food must be guarded against rival clans and outlaws. It is a place where only the strong can endure, and no one prospers. Except, of course, those at the very top. And yet, opportunity still exists for the gang bold enough to take it. In the foundation layers of the Underhive, all manner of treasures can still be found. Lost, forgotten, or abandoned in the dark. The only question is, who will get there first?
Necromunda Underhive Wars is the latest game to come from Focus Home Interactive and Rogue Factor. The game is set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe on the hive planet Necromunda. Unlike other Warhammer 40,000 games, Necromunda doesn't focus on Space Marines, Eldar, Chaos, or any of the other usual aspects of the setting, but rather follows several groups of hive gangers trying to better their own status in life by claiming territories, cargo, and the rarest of all, archaeotech. This game is very similar to the 2015 game Mordheim City of the Damned, which is, more or less, the same game in the old Warhammer fantasy setting. Like usual, let's run through the story, the audio and visual design, and then the gameplay. The story follows a trio of gangs, one each from House Orlok, House Escher, and House Goliath, each hired to get some archaeotech that was recently uncovered as seen in the opening cinematic. The story was written by Andy Chambers, who is one of Games Workshop's senior writers, primarily for the rulebooks and sourcebooks. That being said, the story is passable. It's not the best written story, but it's most certainly not the worst. Visually, the game is alright to look at. The game uses the Unreal Engine, but doesn't use it to its max abilities, which is fine in this instance, as it holds its own decently enough. Everything renders nicely, at least on my rig. Shadows play nicely with the lighting effects, liquid effects are good enough, and character models are good as well. Animations are, overall, pretty good, though reloading a chainsaw would always strike me as odd. The maps are varied enough to stay interesting, while also keeping many assets the same to keep the feel of an impossibly large city looming over you in every which way. In the audio department, we see some lackluster designs. Most weapons have recycled sound bits, characters have various grunts and growls for their various animations and abilities. The voice acting in the campaign is hit or miss. It doesn't sound like anyone is from the same area as anyone else, even in their own gangs. The music's not memorable, at least to me. I didn't find any track to be any better than the others, but then again, this game didn't have a legendary composer like Mick Gordon or Russell Brower. Finally, and most importantly, is the gameplay. Did you happen to play Mordheim City the Damned? Well, this game plays virtually the same, though with some major updates. You have a gang of up to 5 members, each with a different set of skills, stats, abilities, and weapons. You fight against 1 to 3 other gangs over a series of different objectives, usually gathering some sort of material and escaping the map with it. Each unit has their own pool of action points, which you can use for abilities or attacks, as well as movement points to traverse the multi-storied levels. The deployment is a lot more intuitive than it was in Mordheim, as is the map you can pull up to see the whole level. Each faction has access to different weapons that they can buy, with some weapons that are significantly better than others, with late game weapons being nearly overpowered in every sense of the word. Gang customization is there, with being able to change armor panels, weapons, colors, your gang banner to everything in between. It's a very diverse system, especially compared to Mordheim, which had virtually none of this since the last time I played that game. This game does offer online play with both a co-op mode as well as up to 4-player free-for-all or team battles. I would significantly recommend online play rather than playing against the AI, as the AI is not very well programmed. I have come across 2 game-breaking bugs due to AI pathing. It is also worth mentioning that the game does play slower with multiple players with max-sized gangs. Expect to have a match take up to an hour when you have these larger games. The game also has some redundancies with menu selections, especially when you have to select your next unit even when there are no more enemies on the field. So with all that being said, my final verdict on the game is a solid 6 out of 10. It plays decently enough and is fun with other people, but with only 3 gangs as of writing this review, as well as a subpar AI and story mode, it feels lacking. I would recommend this game in a few months after a few more gangs come out, hopefully. Games Workshop has at least 5 other gangs in the tabletop version, so there's no reason they can't be added to the video game as well. Until that happens, I would wait for this game to go on sale before picking it up.